Hello, is anyone around? Let's see. I just finished a whole bunch of Zoom calls and conversations, face-to-face conversation, because Olu was able to leave work early today and came home, which was great because he got here when I was excited and chomping at the bit with a whole bunch of words. So he was here and I got to share words with him. Um, Good morning. Not sure if anyone is here, but everyone is doing these all the time, and I'm thinking that just jumping on live at random moments when I've got something to say or when I feel as if I have something to say is probably a great time to jump on and do this. So let's see. If you saw my post this morning about Robin Cloud's documentary about passing, please check it out. It's wonderful. So if you don't know Robin Cloud, young black lesbian comedian from Hartford. Documentary is kind of funny because it says Farmington, but I know that house is in Hartford. But I was looking for, we're getting ready to go into June, right? And June is Pride Month, and June also has Juneteenth, and I am Kimora Leela Harrington in all the ways that I'm Kimora Leela Harrington. So as I'm looking at and planning what June's going to look like, intersections are super important, making sure that we hit all of the wonderful ways that we can celebrate all the good black stuff that is and needs to be celebrated that way, and all the good queer stuff that needs to be celebrated that way, and all the great intersections that need to come together. And as you probably know, I think I've been talking to Karen Williams this week and connecting with her, and her son is very, very close here in Connecticut right about now, so trying to connect with him and all this good stuff. So yesterday I was here thinking about and talking about black comedians, black lesbian comedians, and who they are and what they sound like and all this good stuff, right? And so Robin, I know, has moved to the West Coast, but I figured I'd just check out, go online, go to YouTube, and see if I could find some clips of Robin Cloud sharing black lesbian comedy and what that could look like. So Robin Cloud came up. The picture that went along with the video looked like some type of stand-up comedy something. So I clicked on it, and all of a sudden I am pulled into this documentary about her family and about her family's journey of connecting with a branch of the family that chose to pass and that moved out into the middle of the country and became white. And it was fascinating. And it was also in these 8-minute segments, right? So I thought I was going to watch it. It's like, oh, this is only 8 minutes. Then there's another only 8 minutes. Then there's another only 8 minutes. Then there's another only 8 minutes. And I've been completely sucked into this. And it's beautiful. Like, again, I was over here, I was on YouTube looking for videos of black lesbian comedians talking about black lesbian comedy. This week, a friend of mine sent me the book Swirl Girl, so I'm getting ready to step into that, stepping into the mulatto quandary. I love to say it like that, just like a whole bunch of people have reclaimed the N-word and love to use it as it's mine, I can. I love to use the term mulatto quandary, mulatto, all the good mulatto stuff. It's the tragic mulatto because it's mine. Y'all threw it at us, it's ours, right? But so this week I'm checking out all of the interesting mixed girl stuff and like thinking about myself as a mixed woman and as a biracial woman, as a mulatto woman, and all this other, everything that goes into that. And last night when I thought I was looking for some queer content, I ended up firmly ensconced in this beautiful, ridiculous American racial construct world, where check out the documentary. If you get a chance to check it out, send me some comments, some questions, because I'd love to discuss it. I realize that we're talking about a person who is from this community who is friends with me right here, so I'm not trying to discuss your family too much without including you in the conversation, Robin, or without at least discussing it with you. But I find it fascinating. And so we all know that Kimora gets off on identity shit and identity development shit. But there's this really interesting place where there's a woman in there, and so she's one of Robin's cousins, and she's from the white branch of the family that's decided to come, and only a very, very, very few members of the family that's gone off to decide to be white in the middle of the country have decided to be a part of this journey and come to the family reunion. And one of the women is standing there, and she's standing next to her mother, and she says that she now realizes that both of her grandparents were black, right? And so let's think about this. She's standing next to her mother, who's a product of this marriage that she's talking about. And she's talking about her grandparents. Now, this is a woman who is passing. She's white passing, Black people, melanated people. Another thing that I'd love to hear you guys talk about and chime in on is, for me, when I'm looking at these people who are the white passing family, I see light-skinned Black people. And I see light-skinned Black people who look like light-skinned Black people in my family, and I see light-skinned Black people who just look like light-skinned Black people who we know. But somehow these people were able to move to a state where no one who they shared blood with was, and they're able to move to this state where somehow not only did they decide to throw away their Blackness and be white people because there are advantages to being white, but somehow the rest of the community looked at these people who look Black. They look not white. So melanated people, we know that there's white people, and then there's Black people, and then there's not white people. We don't know what you are, but you're not white. And so these family members have that whole not white look. And this woman who's a product of this family, who, again, both of her grandparents are Black. Black grandma and Black grandpa created her mother. So take that, go on your own personal journey. If you have a Black parent and if you have a white parent and then you are created, what does that make you? What are you? Okay, so she's talking about her grandparents, and she's saying she didn't realize, but now she has to admit and realize that both of her grandparents are Black, and somehow that doesn't hit her mom. So we know that there's a whole lot of folks who've got a whole lot of stuff to say about people's race, ethnicity, how we own it, how we step into it. And one of the things that I loved about this documentary is I kept trying to step into that woman's head. The woman who, and I think she said somewhere in there that she was raised to believe that whenever anyone asked about what their race was, they would say that they're a Bohemian, right? And so someone who somehow knows that there's something ambiguous, something interesting happening with her lineage. She finds out that both grandparents are Black, and for whatever reason, and now know that I've got 2 more segments of this documentary to watch, so I've got like another 16 minutes, so things might change, and then I might be saying, okay, well, guess what, they finally got there. But this woman, for whatever reason, can share that growing up, people would always ask her if she was Black. She knew there was some interesting stuff happening. Both of her grandparents are Black, but she couldn't assign Black to her mother. So what is race? Who gets to claim race? How do we get to claim race? And why is it important? Is it important? Why is it important? And on that one, that's that ridiculous question where I can tell you there are ways that having a race and claiming a race are ridiculously important, and how ridiculous of a question to ask. And then there's a place of, well, we're all humans, and there's one race, there's a human race, and how ridiculous that you would even try to segregate it out. And then there's the reality of United States of America, 2020, race is a bullshit social construct. Race is a very real thing that affects our lives all day, every day, and both of those are true. So I am getting ready to go to a whole bunch of other interesting stuff today. I've been on quite a few Zoom calls today, and what's sitting in the back of my head today is I can't wait to finish this documentary. Robin, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this piece of your family, this piece of your family's journey. Racial journeys are something that we sort of talk about and allude to, but they're not things that we usually give as much space and respect as they need. And watching you, and definitely watching, you know I love your mother. You know that your mother is a superstar in my life, and that I credit a whole lot of my love of reading directly to your mother. So Mrs. Cloud, boy do I love you, boy do I respect you, boy do I respect the way that you think. And possibly my personal relationship with you as this amazing, beautiful, well-thought woman adds to the way that I'm watching this documentary. But I'm really trying to get inside the headspace of these white people who've chosen to take the easy way out and be white, even though there are conversations all over the place and just an understanding all over the place that they're not white. There's a cousin, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about this cousin and where he is. Before Robin meets him, she shares, so she's gone out to meet him, and she's shared that he says that he's kind of like the outcast or the black sheep of the family, and she wonders what that means. And then she meets this guy, and if he's not the gay one on that side of the family, then I got no gaydar, and I shouldn't be in this work at all. But the two of them, it's interesting. He is the one who's interested in and ready to have this conversation about what does it mean to be black, and what does it mean to pull this new black piece into who we are. But there's also that part where we can talk about it intellectually. So there's the mother and her daughter who are at the family reunion, and then this cousin. And again, where I am in the documentary, they haven't seen each other get together yet, or they haven't gotten together yet. But both of them end up looking at the family album that Robin has. And in the family album, 1983, so a whole lifetime has gone by. So the black folks who are black here on the East Coast, but then went to the middle of the country and then got to stop being, yeah, I found my bra, yep, I'm wearing it. But then got to the middle of the country where they were able to, so again, jump into this social agreement where they were white. They went off and did this, and at some point after her husband died, she snuck off and went back to Pennsylvania and went to the family reunion in 1983, right? So there's pictures of this white woman at the table with the other light-skinned, hello black people, I'm just talking like us, you heard me, it's a real word, light-skinned, real words. But she's sitting at this table with these other light-skinned older black women, all of whom have the white skin, but you know that they're black. And watching her daughter and granddaughter look at this and have to acknowledge. So we have now been here in this cognitive place, and we've been very, very cerebral about having this conversation of we understand that grandma and grandpa and mom and dad were actually full-blooded black folks, right? But then we see it here. And watching them do the internal wrestling, again, putting myself in their heads, what the hell is going on? And it was, do we now need to admit that we're black? What does that mean? Do we have to step into our blackness? No clue, right? So I'm watching them wrestling, and I'm feeling and assigning to them and projecting and all this good stuff, right? But I'm seeing this wrestling thing happening with them. And then there's the cousin who's out in the middle of the country, right? And he's the one who I've decided is gay. I've assigned it to him. If I'm wrong, tell me. But he's clearly a little bit outside of the box anyway, and he sounds like he's really receptive to this, and he's using all the words, and he's happy, and you see cousins, and like you're seeing these cousins relating, right? And then he sees the photo, and again, the same thing happens. Hey, white folks, what would it be like if you woke up tomorrow and realized you were black? Not that cute, wonderful, sci-fi, fake, we can take care of this in a TV show in 30 minutes, so you wake up and all of a sudden you're a black man and your family, none of that Juana Man crap, right? Leave that alone. But what if you woke up tomorrow and realized that your Italian heritage is black, you're just light enough that you could say you're Italian, that your Portuguese heritage is black, Cape Verdean, yeah, straight up, let's say Ghana, okay? And that your family has, for the last 2 or 3 generations in this country, figured out a way to fake it and lie and step into, again, that social construct of white, that American, yeah, Joanna man, but that white American social construct that says we are white and therefore we're just a little bit better. We might be the poorest white people you've ever met. We might be the most ignorant white people you ever met. We might be the most uneducated white people you ever met, but we're white. So we got that. So remember earlier this week when I was talking about that, I'm white, 21, I can do whatever the fuck I want, that whole American way of being. What would it be like if your grandmother watched those movies, understood that if she could pass as white and 21, life would be better. She figured out how to go step out and how to be white. And then your cousin comes up, your black cousin comes up and says, no, honestly, we're first cousins. This is grandma. Let's do this. How would you do it? So today I'll be thinking about that, and I'll be trying really, really hard to push it off so that it can be my reward at the end of the day. I got a bunch of stuff that I need to do today. I've got a bunch of stuff that I've been putting off. I will have time in my head to contemplate because I'm going to have to drive out to South Windsor to go get a whole bunch of bagels that I'll then be bringing back to Hartford to give away tomorrow. But I'm going to be thinking about what would it be like to realize that you're not who you've always been told you are, and how would you wrestle with that? You can't tell me that some white folks who get to live in all white space in the middle of the country have not internalized some racist stuff, right? How do you then reconcile that when you realize grandma is one of those niggas that you've been talking about? Kind of interesting. Have a great day. Christopher Lee, hey, yo, Christopher, I would love to have some conversations sort of around this lane, but not exactly this lane with you. But what does it mean when family is not exactly what you thought family was? So, my darling dear Christopher Lee, if you would love to have one of these conversations with me, if you're interested in having one of these conversations with me, If you are scared to death of stepping into this type of conversation with me, I get it. And I'd love to have this conversation with you, even if it ends up being you and I talking somewhere else and me coming over here and sharing our business with the whole world, because Kamora's good at sharing her business with the whole world. Have a great day. Going to do some work and trying really hard not to pick up Swirl Girl before bedtime and not to watch the rest of this documentary until I've decided it's time to turn off from the day. Peace out, beautiful humans.